I need 100 wither skeleton skulls. You see, in a previous episode, we built this villager breeder, which I gotta say, I still really love this whole barn design. I think it looks amazing. But I never intended to keep the villagers here. I meant to send them away in a tunnel somewhere else. I don't want to keep the villagers here in the village because they're noisy and they lag things up, and I don't have the greatest computer. So in order to save me from all the hassle, I want to move the villagers somewhere else. Somewhere special where they'll be safe and underground and away from mobs, and somewhere where I can create this cool city for them. Yes, I'm talking about the ancient city. The obvious problem with moving villagers into the ancient city is, of course, the warden. You may have seen Etho and Xisuma and some of the other members of Hermitcraft spawn dozens of withers in the ancient city as a means to collect deep slate.
I got mine. Back up.
Don't hold anything in your hand.
I'm dead already. Come now.
Coming for me.
Instead of collecting deep slate, I just want an army that'll help me take out the wardens and all the skulk that will spawn them. And that's why I need 100 wither skeleton skulls. And in order to get those 100 skulls, we are again going to be using the help of Ianxofour, who created the best wither skeleton skull farm in the game. It does require that I build the farm in another fortress, either in the Soul Sand Valley or the Warped Forest, but we have this one close by, so let's get getting. In the last episode, I was complaining about my render distance. Well, check this out. Boom! We can see all the way to the raid farm. That's insane. And no, I did not get a new PC. This is just a mod that helps me see far, and this is amazing. Welcome back, everyone. My name is JLand, and it's been a while, but I am excited for today's episode. But before we actually go into the nether and build the wither skeleton skull farm, we are going to need something else. Yes, we are going to need potions. The nether is a scary place, so I definitely want fire res, but also later on when we go to the ancient city, I'm probably going to want some invisibility. Anyway, I want a brewing station, and I have this really cool idea. I was looking at St. Abbs, which is actually kind of the inspiration for my whole little village base here. It's a Scottish town, and it's actually where they filmed New Asgard in the Marvel movies, and really cool location. And when I was looking at pictures of it, there was always this one building that kind of caught my eye. It was just out in the middle of the bay, and I found out it's a lifeboat station. And so I don't even know what a lifeboat station is really for, and technically this isn't even an ocean, this is a river, but we're gonna pretend it's an ocean and build a lifeboat station. And I got this really cool design. I think you guys will like it. And I have all the resources, at least for the exterior, right here. So let me go ahead and build this. It is the next day, which means, yes, I did the interior as well. But let's take a quick look of the exterior. And first of all, I just want to reiterate, so these cliff sides, they're all going to completely change. I have this really cool design for custom cliffside, and I need to collect more deep slate gold ore. Yeah, kind of a random block, but I need it for the cliffside that I want to do. And so once I get all those, I will redo the cliffside, and including this base along the water's edge and right down here. I'll finish this up so it actually looks complete, but for now, that's just the way it is. But for now, let's just look at the exterior of this build. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with it. I did have to keep this scale down a little bit. I had to reduce the scale from the buildings up above, because if it was too big, since it's closer up, it would just look kind of out of place. And so, but I think it looks pretty good with the scale that it is right now. I think it kind of captures that those inspiration picks, and I like the texturing. I don't think it's overdone too much. The only thing I'm not sold on is this staircase. I think the staircase might have to change. But overall, I really like the build. You may notice that I did add a few things since that build montage, like this boat ramp, and I will extend it further down into the water. And I might even change it up. It seems a little bit plain to me. Instead of those planks, I might do trapdoors or something, but I don't know. I almost forgot, in the build montage you would have seen that instead of coral blocks, these were cobblestone. I decided to switch those out, and I think once the landscape is here and I can add some living coral under the water, I think that'll give it these stilts a really cool effect. Now, like I said, we do have this staircase right here. This leads kind of around the build, and you can access this from right here. This will be a path right here. This will look a lot better though. And then it also goes to the boat ramp, obviously. So we have 2 doors, and here's the boat ramp. Now for the interior, it's a pretty small build, but I spent a lot of time just trying to get lots of details thrown in there, and this is what we got. Now you might think lifeboat station. This is kind of an interesting choice. Well, right here I have, this is a little lifeboat. You can see it better from up above. And then here are some like maybe life buoys or something like that. But I wanted to make this feel like it was like retrofitted for marine biology or some other science experiments, because the whole point of this building is to house the brewing station. And so we have little cages here, maybe crab cages, some various plants or herbs for the science. We have all these brewing stands with different concoctions in them. Lots of little details here and there. We even have this little fish tank with tropical fish, which I think is really cool. And this is a really cool cabinet thing I found. And here's a little display case showing off these rare fish or pictures, maybe something like that. And then this is the actual brewing system. And I don't exactly know who to give credit for part of this design, because I took bits and pieces from kind of a bunch of people's. But let me give you a quick tutorial on how this works. It might be a little difficult because it is kind of crammed. And then I'll kind of show you how it works too, or I'll demonstrate it. So here's the redstone. It's a little bit cramped in here, but in that hopper we have I think it's like 24 junk items that are used to create this filter. And basically when one extra item goes into that hopper, it triggers this redstone, which shoots bottles into the brewing stand, and it also locks this hopper beneath the brewing stand so that the bottles can stay there while they're being brewed. And then once it's done, the hopper will unlock and the potions will get sucked away. Now, as far as selecting the potion, we just use these note blocks right here to send the ingredients up into this hopper, which then shoots, or excuse me, we click this note block, which activates this hopper, shoots the ingredients into a hopper chain, if I can show you that, which then feeds the items into this dropper, hopper, and into the brewing stand. And the way it works is that there's already one nether wart in there, and every time I make a potion, I have to end by putting in another nether wart so it primes the next potion. So for instance, if I want to make a night vision potion, I'll click the carrot, and then I have to click the nether wart again. And if we look here, we see that the first nether wart that was already in there now starts getting put into this awkward potion. And immediately after, there is the golden carrot. If we look up here, we have this nether wart. It came in last. That's why I put it in this last slot here, is so that it wouldn't accidentally cut in line, I guess. And if we see here, that finishes, and the bottles get drained out, and the next nether wart gets put in the system. And in here we have a mistake. I don't know where that came from. I think that might happen the first time you use it or something like that. Anyway, now we have some night vision potions. And it's hard to tell because I don't have the graphic settings on, but this is actually a waterlogged leaf here. So there's a dispenser right behind this leaf block, and it spits the empty glass bottles into here, and the minecart hopper that's kind of merged with this block immediately picks them up and feeds them into the system. And then if I want to add more blaze powder, oops, I just manually do it here. I can add a whole stack in there later. And the reason why these are blank right here is just because I don't know which ingredients to put in them. I'll mainly be using night vision, invisibility, and fire resistance. I guess maybe I could do water breathing or something like that, but for now I'll just leave those blank. And that is how this works. And believe it or not, this is actually a failed experiment, because my original plan for the brewing system was, well, I didn't realize it, but it's a lot more complicated. I wanted to not only select which ingredients using the note blocks, but I also wanted to have a note block or a lectern or something that allowed me to choose how many potions I wanted created. And that just added like a severe level of complexity. I spent like 3 days in my test world. In fact, let me just show you my test world real quick. So this is my test world. You can see kind of the preliminary mock-up of this build. You can see I put in the brewing system, and then I had to create this little building around it in the back. Yeah, all this mess is my attempt, and I'm by no means a professional redstoner, so maybe one of you could do this, but my attempt to create the brewing system that I wanted, something that allowed me to click note blocks to select which items I wanted in the potion, and then a separate note block that controlled how many potions I wanted created. And it took a lot of thought, a lot of brain power, a lot of time. You can see I used mining carts, I used these crazy hopper dropper systems, and just everything got way too complicated. I think this was like my finished product, but then it ended up not really working, and I couldn't really figure out why, so I scrapped that idea. But if any of you can figure out how to do something like I described, let me know. I'd love to see that. Speaking of failed experiments, the barn is amazing, the villager breeder works, but this wheat farm does not work. I was very careful when I made this farm that this farmer villager only had seeds in his inventory so that he wouldn't pick up any of the wheat that he harvests, because that would obviously break the farm. And no matter what happens, it seems like over time he somehow gets wheat in his inventory, and I made sure he was blocked off from the other villagers. I don't know, but somehow that keeps breaking. And then this is an allay powered collection system. So I had an allay on a lead right there, and we have this cool little machine, and the redstone works, but the allays, for some reason, I don't know if it's just a 1.20 thing, but they do not stay on their leads. They kept popping off, and so with the villager eating all the wheat and the allay deciding not to be part of the farm, this really did not work at all. So instead, I'm going to have to make a micro wheat farm or something, and thanks to the wither skeleton farm, I'll actually have bone meal so I can use a micro farm. But unfortunately, that was another failed experiment, and if you've been wondering where the allays are, they of course ended up in these boats. These boats might not have been the best idea. I guess we'll just leave them there for now. But yeah, that's a shame. Anyway, you guys, I love this build. I spent a lot of time on it, and I think it turned out really well. And now I have this cool brewing system, and I've never really had something like this before. So I'm really excited, and now it is time to test it out and make some fire resistance. So I'll do a magma cream, a redstone, and then, did that work? And then another wort at the end. Did that work? Let me check here. Yep, there we go. Should be brewing. Yes. Okay, here's the last ingredient. So we'll see these bottles get sucked away and the nether wart drop in. And should stop. Boom! Look at that. I love the sound of the brewing station. I think it sounds cool. Anyway, you guys, now that I have some fire resistance, it is time to go build the wither skeleton farm. I'll see you over there. So definitely go check out Ianxofour's video. Hold on. Okay, let's dig ourselves in a little hole here. Yeah, I should be safe here. Okay, as I was saying, go check out Ian's video, but basically this is a portal-based farm, which means we're using nether portals to instantly transport the mobs in the farm, in this case the wither skeletons, to somewhere else. And I'll show you how that in a second, but this spawn pad had to be made out of nether bricks. These are the only blocks that the wither skeletons spawn on, and it had to be built within the bounding box of the nether fortress. So definitely go watch Ian's video. He makes it very easy. But then the wither skeletons that spawn here, they will see this iron golem. They're the only the mobs that will spawn here that can see over all these blocks and the repeater. And so they'll aggro towards the iron golem, which leads them into the portal and takes them way up here on this platform in the overworld. They come through this portal right here, and since mobs have a 10-second cooldown from when they leave a portal to when they can enter another one, we have to slow them down. So that's what those cobwebs are for. They trap the mobs and slow them down. And you can see a few wither skeletons in there right now. But when the farm is running, there's going to be a whole bunch. And the sheer force of the incoming, the newcomer wither skeletons will push the old ones further and further along this platform into this portal right here, which leads, of course, to the killing chamber. The wither skeletons will come out right here, fall down in this chamber, where I will be standing on this glass, swiping with my sword. Probably the coolest part about this farm is because it is built in either a soul sand valley or a warped forest, and because I am so high up on the nether roof, the only place besides a few skeletons, the only place that mobs can spawn is on this platform. And that is why we see these crazy rates and why I don't have to do any spawn proofing at all. So let's go ahead. I think we can see the farm in action up above. Unfortunately, I can't show you the overworld side because I don't have another player online. And if I were to go to the overworld, these guys would all immediately despawn. But you can see this farm definitely works. We're definitely getting wither skeletons. And now it's time to chop them up. A very short time later, we did it. We have 100 wither skeleton skulls. Look at them all. And now there's just one thing left to do.